This program is brought to you by Medical City, the Neely School of Business at TCU, and Community Trust Bank. Welcome to Platforms, the life-lifting news program for women. Now, here's your host, Siobhan Palmer.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Platforms, the life-lifting news program for women. I'm your host, Siobhan Palmer. Our next guest is Carolyn Murriel. She's the North Texas Outreach Coordinator for Grace After Fire. Carolyn, welcome.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Honored to have you. Now, this remarkable organization is based in Texas, and I know you handle as an outreach coordinator in the North Texas area. Explain what you do specifically for Grace.
Well, one of the things that I do for Grace After Fire is that I go out and I seek veterans. I'm looking for the female veterans and their families to let them know what resources are out there for them, and just to let them know they have a voice, someone to hold their hand and engage them as they make this transition to their new normal.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about your own military career. You were in the Army for many, many years. Why don't you give our audience a little background?
Sure. I actually entered the military right after high school.
Because you look 16, girls.
Thank you.
I don't know when you entered, yeah.
I wanted some money for college, and that was a great way to do it without all the interest associated with loans. And I started having fun. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to continue to do this as long as I'm having fun. Well, by the time I stopped having fun, I was 16 years in, so of course I'm not going to leave then. So I stayed and had an opportunity to do some great and wonderful things. I feel very good about my career and that I've done everything in there that I wanted to do.
You wanted to accomplish.
Yes, absolutely.
Carolyn, tell us a little about some of the specific assignments you had in the military, and you got an opportunity to travel all over the world.
I had one of the my best assignment was being a basic airborne instructor. You know, when you take someone who's afraid of heights and help them walk through that fear to be able to jump out of an airplane, that is so awesome, because they're initially trembling and they're afraid to just go out of a 50-foot tower, and then you take them and put them in a C-130 in 3 weeks, and they're just like, this is the best thing since sliced bread. So, you know, that by far was one of my best assignments. I love that job. It's definitely very challenging, but just very rewarding. Initially, my last assignment was in Arizona, in Fort Huachuca, Arizona, being an Inspector General Sergeant Major. It just gave me an opportunity to travel and see soldiers in a different environment, and that's the assignment that took me to Afghanistan. And so being able to see soldiers doing their wartime mission is very humbling. You feel a sense of pride, and you just want to go out there and make sure that they have everything that they need to do their job. So.
Well, like Kim Olson, your executive director, you are a veteran as well, so you can certainly empathize with the struggles and the challenges these female vets are having when they come back after an assignment. So with the peer-to-peer support program, what are some of the most pressing issues that these female vets are having right now?
What I've seen in my walk in here in North Texas is that women veterans, we're looking for someone to listen to us. Our needs are just so unique and so different from that of our male counterpart. And it's so rare that you can find someone who can relate to your walk. The struggles with the adjustment to the new normal,
explain what you mean by the new normal.
You know, as Kim said previously, when you go off to war, even when you're part of a military structure and you leave that environment, you're coming into a completely different world. You're leaving that structure into not necessarily chaos, but just something that's very different from what you're accustomed to. So if you've been under that umbrella of structure, when you exit the military, it's definitely a new normal that you have to create. And creating that can be a challenge. You know, you're dealing with anger issues, you're dealing with just the civilian structure in general can be a challenge.
Sure. Let me ask you about the support services and the vendors you bring into your program to help these women veterans. How are those organizations selected and vetted through the organization?
We look for vendors who specifically support veterans and their family. Ideally, we want nonprofit organizations and vice the for-profit organizations, because we want to help. We want people who generally want to help veterans. We're not looking for organizations or agencies that just are trying to get their name out there. We want people who really want to help the people who have served. So we are seeking all vendors, all nonprofit organizations who help veterans and their families.
That's terrific. And in terms of from a financial standpoint, if finances are an issue, can Grace After Fire help these female veterans get the funding they need to get these, services that they need so badly.
One of the things that Grace does very well, aside from peer-to-peer, is we locate resources in the community. If a female veteran comes to us with the need for child care, a need for money to keep her lights on, money to get her vehicle out the shop, we will find that resource. We will be in dogged pursuit of that resource
I don't doubt that
for
at
that
all.
veteran to make sure that their needs are met.
That's right. Now, I know the organization is initially based here in Texas, but the goal obviously is to go national, which you basically are national right now with the capabilities through your internet and your interactive website.
Yes, that is awesome, and you know, we're going to continue to grow. There's such a need for this organization today, more so than ever. It's nice to be able to have a place to go. Number one, to find the resources that you need. Number two, to talk to someone who can relate. Number three, to have someone hold your hand as you're going through this process of getting back to your new normal and creating a better life for you and your family. If you've fallen off, you know what? Call us. We'll get you back on track. We'll help you get back on track. We will hold your hand through this process to make sure that you can be a functioning part of society. And that's what we want. We don't want you to stop serving once you left the military. We want you to continue to serve, but we want you to serve in a different capacity.
You know, I think there's a misperception with a lot of people that when women are not on the front line, but they're still in very dangerous situations. So I think a lot of people might be surprised that there's so many female vets coming back with issues like PTSD and so forth, that they're very much right on the front lines and experience the same kind of challenges that the men are.
Oh, absolutely. You know, the women are not necessarily on the front line, but we're awfully darn close. And some of the same things that our male counterparts are experiencing, we experience those same things times 10.
And seeing wounded soldiers on a regular basis, very traumatic events, and
yes,
civilians being
yes.
killed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was the one thing that most resonated with you during your tour in Afghanistan that you might share with our audience? How did that change you?
I certainly came back with a greater appreciation for my family, a greater appreciation for the freedom that you don't necessarily think about as being free. It just kind of made me focus more on helping veterans. I knew that when I left Afghanistan that my time in the military was coming to an end, because I knew that there was something else for me to do. And I knew that coming from a generation of veterans and being able to see PTSD firsthand, it certainly made me want to be in that field. I need to help people get through this. I need to help people know that it's okay to go through the things that you're going through and you're not alone. And more importantly, that you're not alone. And with our female veterans out there, you know, don't stay in the woodwork. Come out. Go to www.graceafterfire.org. We're here to help you. We want you to be successful in your new journey outside of the military. It's just so important.
Well, Carolyn Cooper-Murriel, you're obviously very passionate and articulate spokesperson for Grace After Fire, the North Texas Outreach Coordinator. And again, for more information on this remarkable nonprofit, Texas-based group, go to graceafterfire.org.
Yes.
Pleasure having you, Carolyn, and your
Thank
colleagues,
you.
Kim and
Thank
Stephanie. Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps this week's show. I'm Siobhan Palmer with Platforms, the life-lifting news program for women.